Bueno, bienvenidos a todos una vez más a El Cuartel del Metal. Los saluda Federico. Hoy me acompaña Ricky de Pathology para hablar de su nuevo disco The Everlasting Plague, ya disponible a través de Nuclear Blast. Ricky, again, a pleasure having you here, my friend. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it's a
Excited to
great,
talk to you guys.
great honor to discuss a great record, The Everlasting Plague. We did a review here. We love the album. So first of all, I would like you to tell me how are you feeling nowadays? You know, when we are, at least when we are recording the interview, it's been almost a month since the release of the record. Let me know your sensations. How are the feedback from the fans been so far? How have you perceived it?
Yeah, everything's been going good with it. It was kind of like a slow start. I felt like maybe it didn't, maybe a lot of people weren't maybe tuned in to new releases, kind of how like they were in previous years, because it just sort of seemed like a slow build with people maybe even being able to find the album to listen to or to see that it was released, because there's a lot of people that were big followers of the band that didn't even know the album was out. So I don't know if that has a little bit to do with like maybe like social media algorithms or something like that. And but over the last month, it's definitely progressed and built up a lot of steam, and very pleased with the response from it. And it was a new direction that we kind of went for on this record. And for a little while, we weren't really too sure, right before we released it or as we were kind of writing it, like what people were going to think of it. And it's a new era for the band. So I feel like we're trying to create our own sound, and I'm happy with how it's been perceived and received so far.
Sure, that's a distinctive. Even though you've got the classic Pathology and brutal death metal sound, you've got quite a few surprises here that I would like to discuss with you. First of all, the intro, for example, to A Pound of Flesh, or ending the record with the composition of Millions. That was like, okay, I would never have imagined a closer like that from you guys. But you all already have for example, the Engaging Homicide, a lot of the more brutal tracks. So when did you decide to take that more maybe melodic approach to some sort of extent? How was all this record created?
Well, I mean, I think that just kind of happened naturally because, in like the really classic albums like Awaken to the Suffering and Time of Great Purification and like Age of Onset and all, they're just a completely different lineup with different players that were influenced by different things. And when the band reformed with Obi, Dan, myself, Dave, we're just different types of players, and we're influenced by different things. And I think the music took a more of a melodic approach in Reborn to Kill. There's definitely a couple tracks in there that were a lot different than a majority of the older Pathology stuff. And then I think we just I think people kind of like that. I think they thought it was refreshing with, our sound as a band, and just with what people, like just combinating just like different genres and styles and sounds. And I think we just kind of rode with that for this album. And like I for sure listened to a lot of like, melodic death stuff and deathcore stuff like that. And I tried to bring some of my influence in with the record up with my style approach from that direction. And Dan's a huge like tech death and melodic death and just brutal death guy. And same thing with the other guys. So I think we just kind of just tried to just go with what we felt was cool and was good for us.
Yeah, definitely sounds well. It sounds quite organic as well. The kind of mixture of influences over there. It really is like of a revitalizing sound maybe for Pathology. And that's really curious because when you look back to the number of records that Pathology has and the number of years that the band has been active as such, I mean, 11 albums in 15 years, it's amazing. And I know you've been in the band for a couple of years now. So in those previous years, from an outsider perspective, I'm curious to see how you looked at the band before getting into it. How do you look at it now? Well, you've told me a bit about the sound evolution and what you guys brought to the table, but what was your insights in Pathology before joining the band? I mean, were you familiar with it a lot? Did you like the sound? Would you have changed some stuff maybe?
Yeah, so I first heard of Pathology when I was touring with my first band called Suffocate, and they were an Oakland-based band, and I was living in San Diego with the guitar player, and um, I knew I was a huge Cattle Decapitation fan when I was in high school and when I was younger. I remember seeing Cattle Decapitation at like a 20-person show back in like 2003 or 2004. I was really young. I was like 13 or 14 at this time, and I was a huge Cattle fan. And then so I was touring with Suffocate, and then I saw Pathology come out, and I knew it was Dave that used to be in Cattle, and I instantly, really liked it, and I was listening to it a lot, and over the years, just like getting more into just like brutal death and technical death metal stuff, and they were a huge influence and just a major band for our hometown in San Diego. There's not a lot of really prominent touring professional bands that have come out of San Diego over the years, like Carnifex, Pathology. There's a couple more, but there hasn't really been a lot to come out of San Diego. So they were one of the big ones, and I was really blown away by like Time of Great Purification and Awaken to the Suffering. I was a huge I Declare War fan, still am, and with John coming onto vocals, like that was really, really cool for me as just as a listener. And then all these years later, I happened to come into the band. It's a trip. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah, totally. And of course, there's a lot of stages of Pathology, but the sound, I think, still remains the same with some nuances here and there, but it's great. Brutal Death. And well, kicking things off now, going back to the Everlasting Play, the new album, you chose Engaging in Homicide as first single. I think I'm correct. So in that song, love how the riffs go along with the vocals in the chorus, the overall intention of the songs, I think, kicks ass. I'm always curious to ask bands how do they go for a first single to promote the record in that instance. So how did you choose that track? Maybe to go with a more familiar kind of sound, maybe for the fans. How did they perceive the fans the first song? Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, it's actually a funny story. So we had 2 music videos lined up at the same time, right as we got out of the studio of recording the album. And we weren't going to do Engaging in Homicide first. We were going to do A Pound of Flesh first.
Oh,
and then
okay.
It flipped when our music video date got pushed back for the A Pound of Flesh guy that was recording that one. So we decided to go with Engaging in Homicide because it was going to be the first one getting released, and we kind of felt like we wanted to take more of like a heavier approach first for the first scope of the new music, and it was like a split second decision. Like I think we decided this like 2 days before the music video started, and I'm pretty happy that happened because I mean I really like A Pound of Flesh. I think that it's got a lot of sort of like black metal, death metal, brutal death metal, melodic death. It's just got the everything, deathcore. It's got everything in it. But I'm happy that Engaging in Homicide came out first because I think it kind of showcases not only that, we can still keep the brutal death metal sound and playing, and then it opens up the doors to the other stuff that we can provide as well. So I'm happy that came out first.
Absolutely. Well, a bit earlier you mentioned that you're already very influenced by melodic death and deathcore as well. And in some songs, I love the kind of the chuggier moments that we get as well. For example, the breakdown at the end of Perpetual Torment. I love that part. It's amazing. Or the kind of slamming part in Viciously Defiled, that it's brutal as fuck as well. So for you, how is it like coming up with those moments in a song? Because they're not a lot, but when they come, they kick ass so hard, man. They are amazing.
Well, thank you. So, I started playing guitar when I was a kid, and then I quickly switched over to bass when I was really young because my best friends had a band and they needed a bass player. So like, I'll do it. And so I still play. I have a 7-string guitar, and I still play it a little bit. I'm not super proficient with electric 7-string guitar, but I'm huge into deathcore and breakdowns, and that's pretty much a lot of what I play when I write guitar parts for the band.
Right.
And like from when I was in Suffocate, like Taylor Jones was the lead player and writer in that band, and I was fully trained on just like polyrhythmic breakdowns and a lot of really just super slow, just chuggy breakdown stuff. So I've really I love playing it. It makes me super happy. And so like when we come to writing the album, I don't really write any really of the technical riffs. I just only write the breakdowns. And so I try to come up with like the heaviest breakdowns that I can come up with. And like, you know, so does Dan. Dan comes up with some of the breakdowns, and a majority, I would say a majority of the like kind of deathcore-ish breakdowns in the album are stuff that I wrote, and I'm definitely happy with how those came out. And it's cool to be able to have like my expression onto the music too. Yeah. You know, like it's really cool to listen to it and to just think of like, you know, me in my apartment, I was just messing around and on my Logic and writing breakdowns, and it's an album for Nuclear Blast. Like it's really crazy. It's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, those parts I think are one of the standouts of the record, because you most of the time you're getting like super fast blast beats or that stuff, but when that slow shit kicks in, I really love. Well, I'm a huge fan of deathcore and that kind of music as well. So really love those parts as well.
Yeah, that breakdown at the end of Perpetual Torment is pretty awesome.
Yeah, amazing.
It's pretty awesome. It's got like a weird, like it's totally unexpected. I think at that part,
totally unexpected. Totally.
It kind of reminds me of like really. It kind of like has a little feel of like really old school, like Beneath the Massacre breakdown, sort of like super old school Beneath the Massacre, and like I think pretty happy with how that one turned out.
We can agree this is one of the best parts of the record. Well, I love that entire song, Perpetual Torment. I think it's one of the standouts as well, and you get it quite early in the album. You get it, so yeah, you get that punch really fast. So in this record, I mean, the album title can strictly relate to the current times we are living, of course, that's for sure. Yeah. But it also speaks about the general ills of the human condition, I understand. I don't know if you're super involved with the lyrical aspect maybe of the album, but would you care to elaborate a bit on maybe what we can find as a concept maybe in the record, in the lyrics?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what you just said kind of, you know, hits it on the head with kind of like not only the current times, but also like kind of like, you know, different, you know, like kind of like mental problems with humankind and just different, you know, the, you know, overall stuff of mankind. I think Obi really went for like kind of, he talks about, you know, just like, you know, like addiction, you know, suicide stuff. He talks about sort of manipulating, you know, like plastic surgery and different sorts of cosmetic, you know, sorry, I'm just completely mind blanking right now, but different sort of like cosmetic changes to kind of influence how you look to people so you feel better yourself, and you know, kind of like that image that the media and social media and that total like you have to look this way to be happy or to be able to, you know, get, you know, be in a relationship or find love or be, you know, happy with yourself. And I think he kind of touches on a lot of that stuff, and we definitely incorporated some of the pandemic stuff into it too, just because it's so prominent in today. And you know, like the whole the you know, like the main face of the band is a doctor, so I feel like it was kind of like a really, you know, it really ties into it, and the pandemic affected us a lot, and and I think he just kind of like really touches on so many different just realistic things that I think a lot of people kind of turn their eye to, and like don't, you know, a lot of like, you know, depression, mental illness, there's stuff like that in the album, which is a huge problem in today's society that I don't think has gotten the, you know, I mean, I know like a lot of people talk about that, and but I think it's a huge thing too that hasn't gotten the you know, the sort of like the care that's needed, you know, like a lot of people they just want to pretend like it doesn't exist. And I feel like as well with, you know, there was that point, like I think it was last year where so many musicians passed away. You know, so many huge metal musicians passed away. A lot of them were from, you know, like suicide and stuff like that. And like, so I think there's just a lot of stuff, and it's not just with metal musicians, with a lot of other, you know, completely outside of music too. So I think that he just tried to touch on a lot of things that people can relate to. And it was a really realistic approach of like modern times with lyrically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know that it's really interesting to see, because I've seen also in the past really couple of years that some bands are touching on that mental issues and that kind of topics that are kind of maybe a bit taboo still in our society. So it's very important to tackle those subjects as well. Yeah. And well, you were discussing the doctor portrayal in this cover, and I think one of the main things that makes the people turn their eyes to the record is the cover too, besides the great music, of course. But it's a great, I think, personification of the Doctor, you know, kind of zombie and gory, ripping the flesh apart. First of all, I would like to ask you if the Doctor has got a name. I don't know if maybe you've given it a name through the years.
I don't think so, actually. I think we just call him the Doctor.
The Doctor.
I mean, that's a really good question, because I really don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, I think it's just the Doctor. I think
I was looking that up, maybe to find if the Doctor had a name, and I didn't find any. So maybe I'm going to ask Ricky. Maybe he knows. Well, yeah. But well, yeah, the Doctor is kind of cool, though. So in this case, the zombie Doctor. And then, of course, even though you touched on it a bit, I would like maybe if you could tell me how was the process of zombifying and goring the Doctor up for this particular album that has the plague maybe concept relation to it.
Yeah, we contacted Par Olofsson to do our album cover again, and we just kind of came up with like a basic idea of just like, you know, the Doctor being a little bit more just kind of shredded, just really, you know, ripped and muscular, and just kind of like morphing into this type of like zombie-esque thing because of, you know, I guess the pandemic and different zombies that were a part of the other covers. And then we wanted to put in, I think, some uninfected people, just to kind of show the correlation with what's going on with COVID and stuff like that. And we just kind of gave him like a rough idea, like with the buildings being destroyed in the background, with kind of just the world kind of falling apart at that time, and we kind of just let him run with it, and he did a great job. He did an awesome job.
Yeah, great cover, great mascot, great music, of course, everything. Well, yeah, you've mentioned this like when you were talking about the breakdowns, that you didn't imagine to have a breakdown that you've written on a Nuclear Blast release, and I would like to discuss your signing with Nuclear Blast, of course, the first release from Pathology with this. Well, what may be the most important independent metal label out there. What does, first of all, I would like to know maybe how the contact was first, like who reached out to maybe the label to you to the label, and well, how does this label change? What does it represent for you as a band as well?
Well, Nuclear Blast was in contact with Dave for years before we were in the band, and I think they were looking into some sort of deal. I think with around the time when John and Time of Great Purification was coming out and stuff like that, and Dave told me he's been talking to them for like 10 years for a deal, and then how it really came together is on our tour with Enemis. They had just signed a Nuclear Blast, so they were a brand new Nuclear Blast band. And we're playing in LA, and Nuclear Blast wanted to come out to see them play and to see us play and kind of like talk to us a little bit more about, you know, a possible signing or the interest in their label. And so they came to LA to see us play, and it was an awesome show. It's probably the best show of the whole tour. It's the last show. And absolutely went off.
Sorry, did you know that they were going to go and watch you play, or did you find out later?
We knew.
Okay.
and we knew we had to bring it like super hard. It was, you know, it's kind of nerve wracking, but at the same time, it was really exciting. It was a gigantic stage. It was in the middle of downtown LA. It was like 500 kids. It was awesome. It was so good. So we talked to them after the show, and they're definitely interested, but they wanted to hear some new music. So that's when we wrote and recorded "We're Born to Kill." Then that came out, and then they were still talking to us, and then they came to see us again in LA on our Narcotic Wasteland tour, and then they were, you know, then they were definitely still interested, and then the pandemic kind of happened, and we were unsure of if you know, they were gonna, if what was gonna happen with it. Then out of nowhere, they just decided to offer a contract, and so we got so amazing, you know, like that's one of the best metal record labels of all time. Yeah. And like, you know, it's crazy to me to think that we're signed onto that label. Like, I've been listening to bands from Nuclear Blast since I was like 14, 13 years old. It's crazy. And so then, yeah, so we knew that Nuclear Blast was offering the contract, and we needed to bring something, you know, on a higher level, and just something just more mature, and just something that they, you know, they can be proud of, and we can be proud of for Everlasting Plague. And that's how that whole thing started.
Both writing and production wise, I think is a huge step for you guys as well. And also, well, this part of the question, maybe if you could, do you identify maybe any doors that are opening up for you guys now that you're signed to Nuclear Blast, or maybe some doors that will open up in the near future?
Yeah, I really think it's going to open up a lot more doors with touring. You know, I think we're looking to get onto the bigger touring circuits, and the band was on really big touring circuits. Like, they were doing Nile tours and DSI tours and stuff like that. And we're looking to get back to that really high level of touring, and kind of be able to have the just the resources to tour with a lot of different bands too. Like, I really like how a lot of tours are doing a lot of mixed genres from like, it's like that like Dying Fetus, Terror, Vitriol, Brand of Sacrifice tour, you know, like it's got hardcore, it's got deathcore, it's got, you know, like death metal, it's got, and like I think that's the tours, the future, that have like the combination of the bands that bring together, you know, like the family of heavy music, you know. And like, we're really looking to get onto that level. And I really think that we have a lot to offer with our live show, and with just what we can bring to that level of touring. And we're definitely looking forward to getting there. And hopefully, you know, next year should be hopefully a good year for that.
A great way to think. I also enjoy those bills where you got a lot of different genres to cover and to appreciate live. And well, good that you're speaking about the touring aspect, because I wanted to kind of round up the interview asking you about that. Of course, you know, now 2021 is about to end, near the holidays and all this stuff. But how are the plans for Pathology looking for 2022? Have you got already maybe some dates booked, working on tours? How's that looking like?
Yeah, we're working on a couple tours right now. I mean, this new variant that's going around is kind of messing some stuff up, because some of the European countries are kind of shutting their doors. Like the Shadow of Intent tour was just moved to 2023, but we have a European tour pretty much fully booked for the middle of next year. So hopefully that will happen. We're really looking forward to getting back over there. And then we have a US tour that's in the works right now too. And I think we decided as a band that if for some reason the European tour doesn't end up happening, that we're just going to focus on the United States tours, because those are definitely on right now. Like, the US circuits haven't really been affected with this new COVID stuff that's going on very much. And then we'll be able to get internationally, get international when we can. Hopefully end of next year, like middle to end of next year. Hopefully all this new stuff will calm down, and stuff will open back up. But we're keeping our fingers crossed to hit up Europe next year and get to this U.S. tour and hopefully book another U.S. tour.
Good to hear. A lot of activity for Pathology in the next year, and 2023 as well, I assume. Well, let's hope that at any point you can hit South America. It would be really nice to see you live here, guys. I know that you've got quite a bit of listeners as well, so it would be really, really amazing too.
Oh, we would love to. Like when we went to Colombia a couple years ago, we went to Colombia in Bogota, and it was insane. It was insane. It was amazing. Like the show. I mean,
Colombia is here in South America is like the country that appreciates the extreme metal scene the most.
Really?
It's got a lot of legendary bands from South America. Extreme bands come from Colombia. So yeah, it's a great place to play death metal.
That just got me excited to get around to all the countries in South America. So
yeah, well in Argentina we love it too, but Chile, Brazil, you would love it.
That would be amazing. I would love that. That would be really cool.
Absolutely. Well, let's hope to have you here at any point in the next couple of years. And well, Rick, again, I would like to thank you very much for your time today. It's been a pleasure chatting with you about this new music that you have put out.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
Well, any final message you'd like to give to those people listening here in South America that are maybe willing to check you out, check your music out, buy the record, maybe hoping for you to come here at any point as well?
Yeah, thank you guys for supporting us, after all these years. I know that there's a lot of Pathology fans in South America, and we really appreciate, your guys's, support and feedback and, appreciation of the new music as well. And we definitely want to get back down south. So definitely look forward to seeing us. We've been talking about it too. And we'll hopefully see you guys very soon.
Awesome. Well, man, again, thank you very much. It's been an honor.
Yeah, thank you too.
Awesome. Well, have a nice rest of the day.
You too. Have a nice day.
Bye. Take care.